Chapter 1. The Advent of Ice. In the quietude of the early 21st century, a chill swept across the world, a chill of such magnitude that it threatened to extinguish the flame of life. It was the onset of a sudden ice age, and our dear Earth, in all its natural beauty, was swiftly being devoured by an icy cloak. In the heart of bustling London, a young woman of considerable intellect, Evelyn Wright, was in the midst of the turmoil. An esteemed scientist with an unquenchable spirit, Evelyn was one of the chosen few selected to navigate humanity through this dreadful trial. The only hope against this icy doom was the science of cryogenic preservation. It was a gamble, a leap into the unknown, but the hope was that those chosen would sleep through the ice age and reawaken to a world ready to be rekindled with the spark of civilization. In the icy twilight of the world, as she knew it, Evelyn was led through the austere corridors of the preservation facility. It was a maze of cold metal and hushed voices, echoing with the gravitas of their task. The people she passed were a blur of sterile suits and solemn faces, each carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. In the preservation chamber, a metallic capsule awaited Evelyn. As she lay down within its cold, claustrophobic confines, she felt a strange sense of calm. For her, this was not an end, but a beginning. She was not going gently into that icy night. She was going to sleep, to dream of the world that was and to wake to the world that could be. As the lid of the capsule closed over her, darkness enveloped Evelyn. The hum of machinery was her lullaby, the cold her blanket. This was a long sleep, the silent vigil against the icy age. As the world outside plunged into the depths of the ice age, Evelyn Wright, along with her chosen brethren, slept. They were the flickering embers in the icy darkness, the preserved seeds of civilization once vibrant. They were the final hope for humanity, their dreams whispering of the warmth of the sun and the promise of a future beyond the ice. Thus, as the earth succumbed to the icy rain, the chosen ones entered their cryogenic slumber, preserving the hope of life, of humanity, against the unforgiving onslaught of ice. Chapter 2. A New World. The darkness that had swallowed Evelyn Wright began to dissipate. She woke, her eyes flickering open, her senses returning like a slowly flowing river. Her capsule opened the first glimpse of the world outside, a startling assault of unfamiliar colors and sounds. Evelyn emerged, her body weak from its long sleep, yet her mind alive with anticipation. Her first sight was a world vastly transformed. Where once stood grand cities, now lay vast stretches of wild green. The icy shroud that had devoured the earth was gone. The world she had known, a world of science and progress, was swept away by the tide of time. Instead, what greeted Evelyn was a world reborn. Nature had reclaimed what was once hers. Vast forests rose in the places of steel towers. Wild rivers flowed where highways once snaked. The world was no longer tamed by the hand of man but was now a symphony of the wild, a testament to life's tenacity. Yet the man had not vanished from the world. As Evelyn traveled further, she encountered remnants of humanity. They were a people transformed, hardened by a world reborn in ice and time. Their society was a stark contrast to the one she had left behind, primitive and feudal, but bearing the seeds of a culture slowly taking root. No more were there cities of steel and glass. Instead, there were scattered settlements, communities huddled for mutual support against the world's challenges. The sight was both disheartening and inspiring. The grandeur of the past was gone, yet the flame of humanity flickered on, steadfast against the storm of change. In this new world, Evelyn was a stranger. The past she remembered was a memory lost to the rest. But she was not disheartened. Instead, she recognized the possibilities that lay ahead. She held the knowledge of the past, the keys to a forgotten kingdom. As the sun set on her first day in this new world, Evelyn found herself in the heart of a society vastly different from her past. But within her heart bloomed the determination to guide this society towards a future that held the promise of the past's glory. She, Evelyn Wright, a woman out of time, found herself amidst a primitive feudal society. Yet within this stark reality was the hope that the civilization she once knew could be rebuilt. The dawn after the Ice Age had arrived, and with it began the second chapter of humanity's journey. Chapter 3: Adapting to Change. In the first few days of her waking life in this unfamiliar epoch, Evelyn found herself swept into the whirlwind of a culture alien to her understanding. The community that she found herself within, huddled amidst a verdant forest, was governed by a local chieftain, a formidable figure named Arthur. Evelyn found Arthur to be both a daunting and intriguing character. His leadership was one of strength and courage, not the careful strategies and policies she knew from her past life. This was a world governed by raw power, by the primitive dynamics of survival. The societal norms were difficult to grasp. Status and respect were determined by physical strength and hunting prowess, not by intellect or innovation. Women were bearers of life, confined to the boundaries of the settlement, not leaders or warriors. For Evelyn, who had once been a celebrated scientist in her society, this was a challenging reality to accept. Yet she did not falter. The difficulties were myriad, the culture shock stark, but Evelyn was not one to shrink from challenges. She knew the value of the knowledge she held, and she understood the power it could wield in shaping the future of this primitive society. Her first opportunity came when the settlement was struck by a mysterious illness. The people turned to their shamans and healers, but their concoctions and rituals were powerless against the malady. Remembering her knowledge of medicine, Evelyn stepped forward, offering her assistance. With herbs and roots found in the forest, she prepared remedies unknown to the people. To their amazement, the sick began to recover. Evelyn, the stranger from the past, had saved them when their methods had failed. Her actions caught the attention of Arthur. Seeing the value of her knowledge, he offered her a place by his side, a role as an advisor. The society that had once seemed resistant to her presence was slowly opening its doors to her wisdom. Despite the strangeness of her circumstances, Evelyn felt a spark of hope. She was a stranger in a strange land, her past a forgotten dream. Yet, she held the promise of a future, the potential to shape the society that was slowly accepting her. The struggle was far from over. Societal norms and power dynamics were a constant challenge. But Evelyn, with the knowledge of a forgotten past and the determination of a woman out of time, was ready to carve a path in this new world. Chapter 4: Rekindling Love. Arthur, the local chieftain, was an imposing figure. Yet beneath the stern facade and hardened exterior, Evelyn found a kindred spirit. His bright eyes and the gentleness in his voice stirred within her memories of a love lost to the ice, a phantom of the past who bore an uncanny resemblance to Arthur. His name had been Albert, a fellow scientist who had shared not only Evelyn's fervor for discovery but also her heart. But unlike Evelyn, Albert was not chosen for the preservation project. His memory, like a phantom of the past, lay dormant in her heart until now, reawakened by the sight of Arthur, As the days turned into weeks, Evelyn found herself drawn towards Arthur. His strength and courage were admirable, but it was his innate curiosity, his hunger for knowledge that truly captivated her. Much like Albert, Arthur was a man of action, yet held within him a mind that sought more than just survival. They shared evenings by the fire, where Evelyn told tales of the world before the ice, of towering cities that touched the sky, of hustless carriages that sped through streets, of men who traveled to the stars. Arthur listened, his eyes wide with fascination, his mind thirsty for the knowledge she offered. In return, Arthur showed Evelyn the beauty of the world they now inhabited. He showed her how to listen to the whispering winds, to read the dance of the fire, to understand the song of the forest. Through his eyes, Evelyn learned to appreciate the primal beauty that she had initially seen as merely savage. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. A shared glance became a touch turned into an embrace, and an embrace led to a kiss under the starlit sky. Evelyn found comfort and warmth in Arthur's arms, a solace she had not thought she would find in this alien world. Yet, even as her heart found solace in Arthur, it was Albert's memory that lingered in her mind. The warmth of Arthur's touch, the sound of his laughter, the depth of his gaze, all reminded her of the love she had lost. It was a bittersweet symphony of the heart, a dance of past and present entwined. As Evelyn journeyed deeper into the heart of this new world, she found herself not only navigating the complex dynamics of a primitive society, but also the intricate dance of love. A love rekindled in the heart of a man who reminded her of the past, yet held the promise of her future. Chapter 5: Initiating Change. The seeds of change, once planted, can cause a mighty upheaval. Evelyn, armed with her knowledge from a time long forgotten, began to sow these seeds. Her intention was not to upset but to evolve, to steer this society towards a future where knowledge, not brute force, ruled. Evelyn first introduced the concept of science. She taught the curious how to harness fire for more than just warmth, how to utilize the sun's path for timekeeping, and how to predict weather patterns by observing the sky. Her teachings were met with fascination and a thirst for understanding, particularly from the younger members of society. Next, she ventured into the realm of governance. The rule of strength that Arthur championed had served its purpose in a harsh world, but Evelyn saw the potential for more. She introduced the concept of democracy, of decision-making not by a single ruler but by the consensus of the many. This notion was met with both apprehension and intrigue. The power dynamics of the society began to quiver at the prospect of such a change. Evelyn, however, knew that the cornerstone of a fair society was the respect and protection of human rights. She spoke passionately about the equality of men and women, about the value of each individual beyond their physical strength or lineage. She championed the cause of the weak, the young, and the old, advocating for their rightful place in the decision-making process. These ideas were radical, completely alien to the established norms. The chieftain, Arthur, although initially taken aback by these revolutionary ideas, found himself supporting Evelyn. Their bond, cemented by mutual respect and growing affection, made him receptive to the winds of change Evelyn was bringing about. Yet, resistance was inevitable. The concept of equality and shared governance threatened those who benefited from the existing structure. Fear of the unknown, coupled with the desire to preserve their power, made some individuals hostile towards Evelyn's ideas. A silent battle began, a struggle between the force of change and the inertia of tradition. Evelyn, however, remained undeterred. She understood the challenges and knew that the road to progress was never straightforward. With each passing day, she strove to nurture the seeds she had planted, hoping that, in time, they would grow into the trees of change, reshaping the landscape of this society. Thus, in the heart of a new ice age, Evelyn initiated the dawn of a new era, one marked by knowledge, fairness, and respect for all. It was a task monumental and fraught with challenges, yet she stood unwavering, a beacon of change in the face of resistance. Chapter 6: The Price of Progress. The voyage towards progress, Evelyn knew all too well, was a tempestuous journey. The initial curiosity and fascination that greeted her ideas soon met resistance. The more entrenched powers within their society, those who benefited from the current order of things, began to rally against the winds of change. Evelyn's teachings stirred unrest. Concepts of science, democracy, and human rights, once seen as intriguing, were now viewed as threats to the established order. Her voice, once listened to with rapt attention, began to be met with scowls and whispers. The seeds of change she had sowed were sprouting, and the garden of society was shaking with their growth. Arthur, stalwart and noble, stood by her side, championing her cause. He faced opposition from his very own. Those who once revered him now questioned his wisdom. His strength, once the unchallenged pillar of their society, was now being threatened by the very change he supported. Yet, he stood unwavering, his belief in Evelyn and her vision of progress unshaken. The once harmonious society found itself divided. Some embraced Evelyn's ideas, their minds alight with the possibilities of a better future. Others, entrenched in the past, saw only the threat to their power and the upheaval of their way of life. And thus, a rift grew, tearing through the fabric of their society. Evelyn and Arthur found themselves in the middle of a power struggle, one that threatened to shatter the world they knew. Every day brought new challenges. Every night whispered threats of an impending storm. But amidst the turmoil, their resolve grew stronger. Evelyn, fueled by her vision of a better world, continued to teach and inspire. She spoke of a society where power was shared, where knowledge was revered, and where every individual was valued. She reached out to the resistant, not with force, but with words of understanding and unity. Arthur, on the other hand, strove to maintain the delicate balance of power. He navigated the treacherous waters of politics, standing firm against those who sought to suppress the change. He protected Evelyn and those who supported her, vowing to uphold their right to voice their beliefs. The price of progress, they quickly learned, was not cheap. It demanded sacrifice, resilience, and an unwavering belief in the cause. Yet, as the tension grew, so did their resolve. For they knew that the path to a better tomorrow was paved with the stones of today's struggles. Chapter 7: The Final Struggle, Extended. In this brave new world, society found itself caught in a fierce whirlwind of change, a storm of their conjuring. As the howling winds of conflict escalated, Evelyn and Arthur stood together in the heart of the tempest. Their alliance, once as sturdy as an ancient oak, seemed now to balance precariously on the brink of ruin. Evelyn was the seed of change, her stance unyielding against the ferocity of the storm. She bore the brunt of the discontent, standing strong, her voice a clarion call against the cacophony of resistance. The hopeful glimmer of a brighter dawn reflected in her unwavering eyes. Yet, beside her, Arthur navigated the turbulent weather with a clandestine purpose. Beneath the mask of loyalty and encouragement, a shadowy scheme was taking shape. Arthur, though seeming to stand steadfast with Evelyn, was captivated by the potential of her advanced knowledge. The prospect of wielding such formidable power for his own rule became a tantalizing temptation, a siren call that quelled the symphony of loyalty and love within his heart. Arthur chose a path fraught with betrayal, his vision distorted by the intoxicating allure of absolute power. Meanwhile, the society, unaware of the perilous undertow of deceit, persisted in its tumultuous dance. The waves of change swelled and crashed, submerging them all in a maelstrom of conflict. As the vortex of deception and ambition started to churn, it took its first victim. Caught amidst a fiery altercation, Evelyn became the casualty of the very betrayal she had failed to anticipate. Arthur, the man she had placed her trust in, the comrade she had relied upon, became the orchestrator of her downfall. Her death, a grim pinnacle of the power struggle, was a chilling testament to the devastating impact of unchecked power and ambition. The resonance of Evelyn's tragic end reverberated through the frosty air, sending shockwaves through society. The beacon of change, the herald of a new era, had been extinguished. Even as her light dimmed, the ensuing darkness was palpable, a stark reminder of the cost of her vision. Thank you for watching. You could download the vocabulary PDF below. To stay up to date on our future videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and let us know what you think in the comments below.